We have no members of the public in the chamber this evening, and members, I guess you're all well acquainted with the evacuation procedure. Okay, I'll take that as read then. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to item 2, which is apologies for absence and any substitutes. Well, we won't have any substitutes, of course, because this is a reconvened meeting of Thursday, the 12th of May. But have we any further apologies?
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies from Councillor Ben Martin and Councillor Elliot Jays, and Councillor Alistair Gould has advised that he is coming, but he may be late. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And members, just as a reminder, can you invite any declarations of disclosable non-pecuniary interests? Councillor Hunt, please.
On part 6, as before, but I won't give say reasons why yet.
Thank you. And anybody else, pecuniary or non-pecuniary?
It's not an interest, it's just to say I'm not being rude. I am having to leave in about half an hour, so.
Thank you, and I appreciate you getting here for at least part of the meeting. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we'll move on to the formal business then of this reconvened meeting, and we're going to commence with item 2.2, please. And this one is 9/502-484 and it's Willow Farm, Hansets Lane, Ospringe, Faversham, Kent. And I thank the officer for an outline and the updates, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members. This is Jim Wilson speaking. I have got a short update which reads as follows. The Parish Council have made a further comment as follows, and it is: I'm writing to advise that we shall not have a parish councillor in attendance at this evening's meetings. As you all know, Ospringe Parish Council has been consistent in its objection to this application and the amendments made. Members will note pages 54 to 56 of the agenda papers. As set out in the responses we have made to the various consultations, I would be grateful if you would draw the attention of members of the Planning Committee to the sections of your report which extract and detail the comments we've made. In particular, the traffic volumes which will be generated by the proposals, if approved, are of great concern to the parish, given the location of Willow Farm and its lack of proximity to the main road network, meaning that large numbers of vehicles, including lorries, will be using rural lanes unsuited to this size and number of vehicles. Members will note that there is a detailed section on highways and parking on pages 65 to 67 of the agenda. The highway impacts will fall well within acceptable levels, and I note that KCC Highways and Transport raise no objection. In conclusion, officers are of the view that the development is acceptable and would deliver various benefits. As such, it is recommended that planning permission be granted, subject to the conditions set out in the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So I move the officer recommendation. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Simmons.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, I think you've just heard the concerns raised by the Parish Council with regard to the volume of traffic, and whilst I'm sure it's probably acceptable that no one single development can make such an impact on the amount of traffic. It is the cumulative effect of development and the fact that the roads are getting clogged up around Faversham, and more traffic is using the rural lanes. And we're talking about large vehicles as well, not just private cars, but particularly to this site, we're talking about a lot of horse boxes and horse trailers, horse lorries, and just to increase the amount of traffic going to this site, I think is really unacceptable. because it's the access is either through Water Lane past Ostring School, which is a very narrow lane and not practical, or it's along Brogdale Road and up the hill to Painters Forestall, and then out back towards the motorway, and then a turning and down a narrow lane to Willow Farm. I just think the access is not suitable for this type of development, and I hope that members will vote against it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Members, anybody? Councillor Winkles?
Thank you, Chair. Can the officers show us a picture, if you've got one, of the actual proposed site, please?
Apologies. I don't know if you can hear me okay, but I'm having some IT problems, I'm afraid, and it's the system's not letting me share my screen. I don't know if there's anyone else on one of the other officers on the call who could assist and go into the documents for item 2.2 and possibly share their screen. Yeah, apologies for making this request, but as I say, for some reason I'm not able to share my screen at this point. I mean, I have got all that information is on the system.
Okay, thank you. Is there an officer that may be able to assist us? Rebecca, maybe? Or?
Yes, I'm just having a look now. Just bear with me for a moment.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jim, can you just confirm what the presentation folder is called?
It's
please?
it's 2.2. It's like Willow Farm or something along those lines, I think.
Thank you. I've got it here. And what is it that you're looking to view? A photograph, was it?
Of the ground that.
Yeah, it's the site plan, basically.
Yeah, there's a photo called Whole Site and Gillett Cook.
Okay.
I think it's the bottom but one item in the list. Yeah, that's as good a one as any, because that shows the sort of open area in front of the Gillett Cook building, and that's where you should be able to see both the existing building that's going to be refurbished, and also Block 5, which is Block 5 is the new building where most of the development proposed would go.
Got nothing on the screen at the minute, Jim. What I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to invite Councillor Bonney to speak, please.
Gives you a bit of time. Right, yeah, I was actually up there today. I went to Gillett and Cook and I had a look around briefly where the yard is and that. I think this is one of those difficult ones where unless KCC Highways have said something, I think the issue around traffic is very difficult for the committee to make any other decision other than to go with it, because we wouldn't have a leg to stand on an appeal situation. Quite honestly, this rural lane is it's similar to many other rural lanes where we've got employment sites, and I can think of things like KSP where we've got far more traffic going along it. So I think it's going to be very difficult to refuse on those grounds. It is a source of employment in a rural area, which I think is good, and actually overall, it seems a good site to have some rural employment in. The rest of it looks very well looked after, to be fair, and what's being proposed. So I think we find it very, very difficult to find any grounds to counter this, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Winkler now, have you seen?
Yes, I can see the picture. I just wanted to see what it looks like at the present time before I make a decision which way I'm going to vote.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
you. Councillor Hunt, please.
Thanks, Chair. On similar lines to Councillor Bonney with the traffic, but also I think we do also note that it's not only KCC highways, it's national highways as well that have been involved in this one. And they did ask for that transport statement and assessment, and that was given. So with all that evidence that's there, yeah, we've got no leg to stand on with transport.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dender, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I agree with Councillor Bonney and Councillor Hunt. I just wanted to make a point that the equestrian centre has already been approved. So in fact, any traffic going into the equestrian centre was part of a prior approval. So we can't really take that into account. The additional traffic for the retail units and the offices, as Councillor Bonney has said, there are many other areas that use rural lanes to get to them. And of course, if Kent Highway is a statutory authority has given their okay, there's nothing really we can do. So I am very sympathetic to the Painters Forestall and the villages, but it will go to appeal if we don't approve it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Members, we'll take this one to the vote then. Those in favour of the officer recommendation? Those against? And abstentions? So that's 10 for, 1 against, 1 abstention. So permission is granted subject to the issue of the decision notice. We're now going to move on to item 2.6. And this one is 21/506750 and it's land adjacent to East Church Village Hall. I'll thank the officer for an outline and any updates, please.
Yes, that's me. Bear with me. Can you confirm that you can see my screen, please?
Yes, we can indeed. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So the subject site, the proposal is for 2 dwellings which are located just outside of the built-up area boundary of East Church, this being East Church Village Hall. Members will note from the officer's report that there are a few references to the listed buildings, the 3 listed buildings within close proximity to the site. I shall show you a couple of photos. So this is currently the front elevation of the site. You can see it's just overgrown with East Church Village Hall immediately next door. This is within the site itself, which has been cleared at some point prior to the application being submitted. And this is East Church Village Hall there in the background. This is back onto the road with the views towards All Saints Church, which is discussed within the officer's report. And this is just views north of the site leading out of the centre. And what they are proposing is 2 detached dwelling houses, which would be 3 to 4 bedroom houses. They are 2 stories with small dormers located within the side. They have been reduced in height over the course of the application by 700 mils. That's to address some of the concerns of the conservation area when looking towards the church tower. This is the front, the elevational drawings of plot A. Plot A and plot B are very similar. They're just mirror images of each other. And this is the layout, typical layout with a lounge on the ground floor, excuse me, kitchen and dining room, 3 bedrooms and a home office on the first floor. And again, it would be exactly the same on plot B, but a mirror image of one another. And again, this is the street elevation view, 2-storey houses, which have been reduced in their height to accommodate the concerns of the conservation area officer. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. Can I just add there? I would just like to add that you will note that we did provide you with the tabled update, members with a tabled update, and we suggested the removal of permitted development rights for the dormer extensions, because obviously we wouldn't like any more dormer extensions on that roof slope, which may well distract from the area. The other thing, which wasn't on the tabled update, but which we now propose, or that we would recommend to you, would be to attach a tree protection condition, which would hopefully to retain as much of the existing landscaping around the boundaries as possible, with a view to try to soften the impact, the visual impact of the proposal. And as we said in the officer's report, while this is just outside the built-up area boundary, one of the reasons why we have recommended this application for approval is based on a historic planning application that was approved by the Planning Inspectorate for residential development within this area. The planning inspectorate found that the site itself was suitable as it was close to the village centre and the site itself did not make a strong contribution to the open countryside. And that's one of the reasons why we have considered the principle of residential development here acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now move the officer's recommendation as amended. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Burt. Members, Councillor Burt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I remember when this came before us in 2016, and I remember the reasons it was turned down, and as set out by the officer, it is right on the edge of the built-up area boundary, and you've got the village hall, which is currently the edge of the village. I think we would be hard-pressed to make any sort of argument on this one. They've got the principle of development there for one dwelling, and it is quite a substantial plot. As you can see from the drawing that the officer showed, you can easily fit two dwellings on there. So I can't think of any reason why we should turn this down. I agree with the amendment to have the tree protection orders. I think that creates not only a barrier for the edge of the village, so as you're coming up the road, you're going to have a tree line and then the village starts, but also it protects the view from the village hall and from the church. So I'm all for that, and I'm glad that's been put in. And I completely agree with removing permitted development rights on this one. If they want to make any changes, it should have to come back to the council for consideration. So I'm happy to support this as it is.
Thank you. Members, I don't see anybody indicating. Those in favour of the officer recommendation as amended? Any against? So there we are, a unanimous decision on that one. So permission is granted subject to issue of the decision notice as amended. Thank you, members. And now come on to item 2.7, which is 22/500724 full. And this is 17 Courttree Drive, Eastchurch. And I'll thank you also for an outline and any updates, please.
Yes, thank you. This is again one for me. So the proposal is for a single-storey rear extension to the rear of the property. The reason why it's come to planning committee is the extension, the depth of the extension is 4.5 metres, which is marginally over what they would be allowed to do under permitted development rights. I'm going to show you the house. So it's a detached dwelling. So usually under permitted development, they would be able to extend up to 4 metres, providing that it stays within the constraints of the house itself, so it doesn't escape, you know, go over the sidewalls of the property. I'll show you the existing and proposed. So this is the existing property. And they're proposing a rear extension following the removal of the conservatory. And the ground floor proposed, as you can see here, is 4.5 metres deep. It would contain a pool room. In terms of permitted development, as I said, it is a detached house, and permitted development rights haven't been restricted on the property. Had it not been for this lip that's just come over the sidewall here, and if it had been set back by 50 centimetres, then it would be permitted development. So it's just over, and I will show you an elevational drawing. So this is the existing elevation of the property here, and this is the proposed. And officers have recommended for approval based upon there would be no adverse amenity impacts on neighbouring properties, given the distance to each neighbour and the heights and scale of the development. Thank you.
Thank you. So I move the officer recommendation. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Beard, thank you. Members, any observations? Seems pretty straightforward to me. Councillor Beard.
Again, I will support this one. I can understand the view of the parish council about the loss of the garden space, but of course, if they wanted to build an external swimming pool, they could lose the garden space if they wanted and keep the conservatory. So the fact that it's just outside of permitted development, I think this is perfectly acceptable.
Thank you. Members, take this one to the vote then. Those in favour of the officer recommendation? Again, that's unanimous. So permission is granted subject to issue of the decision notice. We move on to part 5 then, please. Any comments or observations on this one? Councillor Beard.
On the plough leisure, I think that's a very good result and just shows how poor the interim planning policy was that this council adopted on park homes. I think the inspector gave it very, very little weight.
Thank you. Councillor Winkles.
Thank you, Chair. I'm disappointed to see that the inspector allowed the appeal on the Dunfermline Walk development. We had a site meeting out there, and it's agreed open space there, and I'm quite disappointed that we lost that one.
Okay, but I know that costs were refused, so okay, thank you. Right, members, we now come to the exclusion of public. Onto our item, our part 6 item, please.